The silence of the Galactic Council chamber was absolute, until something very, very human shattered it. It began as a tremor, a low metallic rumble that echoed through the marbled pillars and crystalline domes of the chamber like a forgotten god returning from exile. Delegates glanced at one another, antennae twitching, bioluminescent skin dimming. The vibration grew louder, heavier, rhythmic. Boom, clank, boom. Then, without warning, the eastern arch exploded inward with a shriek of tortured metal and pulverized tile. Dust and sparks filled the air. Every species, diplomatic elite from all 13 sectors, froze. Out of the haze came a tank. An Earth M1A2 Abrams, scarred, dust-covered, roaring onto the chamber floor like it belonged there. Painted across its side, in chipped red letters, "Don't tread on me," and below it, a decal of an American flag holding a spatula. The tank growled to a halt at the center of the chamber. Its main gun swiveled slowly, unervingly, toward the central dais. A moment passed. Then the hatch creaked open. Private Jesse Jukebox Alvarez emerged into stunned silence. Combat boots thudded on the hull. Aviator sunglasses mirrored the stunned faces of the galactic elite. She blew a bubble with her gum and let it pop loud and wet in the silence. "Howdy," she said cheerfully. "Y'all got any Dr. Pepper?" Counselor Pomeraz of the Trinium Collective, a 12-eyed, fan-headed elder known for its galactic tact, rose trembling from its throne. You brought a ground war vehicle into a sacred council chamber." Jessie removed her sunglasses and blinked. "No, sir. This here's a peace envoy. Fully armored, but peaceful. Unless y'all brought trouble." Behind her, the tank's exhaust coughed dramatically. Somewhere inside, the radio started playing Sweet Home Alabama. 3 counselors fainted. 36 hours earlier, on Earth, the United Human Assembly had received an invitation. Council Request Number 7919 Alpha. Human Inclusion in Interstellar Diplomatic Accord. The invitation was printed on an iridescent scroll, adorned with galactic seals, and delivered by a 6-legged courier drone that disintegrated after delivery. By noon, the White House had called an emergency meeting. The room was full of flags, generals, diplomats, and at least one YouTube influencer who'd accidentally wandered in. "Do we know what they want?" asked the Secretary of State. "Could be peace," said the President. "Could be war. They said it was a summit." "That's ambiguous." A Texan general leaned forward. "I say we send a delegation. Show 'em we're serious." "You want suits or tanks?" The general grinned. "Why not both?" Thus, the diplomatic strike team was born, a mix of military cultural liaisons, and one robot named Ted. 3 tanks were sent, one old, one new, and one painted like a shark because it'll throw him off. Jessie Alvarez had been chosen mostly because she'd drawn the short straw, and partly because she once managed to negotiate peace between 2 rival biker gangs in Nevada using only Mountain Dew and interpretive dance. Back in the council chamber, a tall, elegant woman in a suit stepped around the tank. Ambassador Caroline Rivers. Her heels clicked like gunshots on the marble floor. She carried no weapons, only a steel briefcase, and the kind of diplomatic smile that implied she could kill you with courtesy. "Counselors," she said, her voice clear and cold as the stars, "we apologize for the unorthodox entry. It seems your docking instructions were corrupted by a solar flare." Ted, the robot ambassador trailing behind her, nodded helpfully. Solar flare, a naturally occurring phenomenon from unstable stellar activity. Also a great name for a cocktail. Ambassador Rivers ignored Ted. "We came in peace," she continued. "But recent events suggest peace may be fragile." The counselors stirred uneasily. Pomeraz spoke again, voice brittle. "What events do you refer to?" Jessie climbed down from the tank and handed Rivers a data chip. "You want to play it, or should I?" Rivers inserted the chip into the council dais. A hologram burst into the air, grainy footage from a fringe colony. System 44 Delta. Children running. Laughter. Then a flash. Screams. Static. 2 weeks ago, Rivers said, her voice flat, a scouting probe, registered under council seal, entered our space. It obliterated a civilian orphanage. 42 children. No warning. No communication. No survivors. Gasps rippled through the chamber. The Corvian delegate, pale, gelatinous, tentacled, floated nervously. "That probe," said Rivers, turning slowly, "belonged to you." The Corvian let out a startled gurgle. It was an automated vessel, a mapping drone. It should not have fired. "Well," Jesse muttered, "it did. Real hot damn of a glitch, huh?" Counselor Pomeroz was visibly distressed. "There must be a misunderstanding. The council did not authorize." "The children are still dead," Rivers said sharply. Ted raised a metallic hand. "I suggest we enter peaceful reparations dialogue, as per Article 7 of Galactic Accord Protocols." "No," Rivers said. Ted blinked. "No." Jesse took over. "We came here to say one thing, loud and clear. You hurt our kids. Again, and there won't be treaties next time." Silence fell. A long, trembling silence filled with a quiet hum of alien biosuits and the subtle click of claws and mandibles. From somewhere deep inside the tank, the muffled voice of Big Mike, a former pro wrestler turned morale officer, called out, "Did y'all tell him about the playlist?" Jesse ignored him. "For now." Pomeroz leaned forward. "You came to threaten us." "We came to warn you," Rivers corrected. "We believe in peace. Strongly. We just back it up differently." Ted projected a 3D image of Earth's interstellar fleet. Outdated, yes, but brutal in design. Not elegant like the Council's cruisers, more like flying fists. "The rest of humanity arrives in 72 hours, Rivers said. "They're not diplomats." At that, panic began to simmer. The Sarluan representative clutched its communicator and whispered rapidly. The Varnan emissary began shedding stress spores, which Ted quietly vacuumed up. Jesse looked around. "Look, we're not trying to start something. But if something's already started, we finish it real well." A beat passed. Then Ted said, "Does anyone want a sample of Earth music? It helps reduce anxiety and may inspire interspecies understanding." He tapped his chest. From the tank speakers came the unmistakable wail of electric guitar. Thunder, thunder, thunder. Jesse grinned. Thunder. I was caught in the middle of a railroad track. The chamber exploded into noise. Some counselors ducked. Others screamed. One began convulsing rhythmically, apparently overtaken by the beat. Ted swayed. Ambassador Rivers exhaled slowly, pinching the bridge of her nose. "Jesse," she said, "turn it down." Jesse yelled, "It's diplomatic protocol, ma'am. This is our vibe-setting phase." Pomeroz rose shakily. "We need time. This is not how things are done. Your species, you confuse protocol with performance art." Rivers nodded. "Fair enough. But we'll be back tomorrow. With or without drums." Jesse replaced her sunglasses. "Y'all should prepare. Texans come next." As she and Rivers turned to leave, Ted offered one last pamphlet labeled Friendship Through Firepower, a beginner's guide. No one took it. The doors groaned shut behind them, sealing the chamber back into stunned silence. Outside, on the pristine marble steps of the Galactic Hall, Jesse leaned against the tank and stared up at the alien sky. "You think they'll listen?" she asked. Rivers opened her briefcase, pulled out a flask, and took a long sip. "They'll have to," Ted chimed. "Probability of compliance is currently 32%. However, probability of interstellar headlines? 100%. From inside the tank, Big Mike laughed. "Guess we made an impression." Jesse smiled. Somewhere in orbit, Earth's second fleet was already decelerating. They weren't diplomats either. The council chamber doors remained shut longer than expected the following morning, giving Jesse ample time to polish the tank's barrel with a rag that smelled like motor oil and barbecue sauce. She whistled a tune, bad to the bone, as the alien guards watched from a safe distance, clearly hoping the humans would simply vanish like an awkward diplomatic nightmare. Ted stood nearby, gently recharging via a small solar panel strapped to his back, humming faintly to himself. Sunlight good for systems and sunburns. Ambassador Rivers sat cross-legged on a cold marble bench, eyes closed, muttering what sounded like meditative mantras. In reality, she was rehearsing 24 different opening statements. Some included threats, Some included hugs. Then the doors opened. They weren't invited in so much as tolerated. An escort of twitchy alien guards with stun rifles guided them to the center platform again. Today, the dais shimmered faintly with an active defense field, transparent, but very real. The message was clear. Diplomacy would occur at blast-proof range. "We're making progress," Ted said cheerfully. Counselor Pomeroz stood at the head, flanked by new delegates, military voices this time. Gone were the robed philosophers and linguists. Now came armored warriors, their ceremonial blades too polished to be decorative. The tone had shifted. Everyone could feel it. Pomeroz didn't waste time. Earth's allegations have shaken this council. The Corvian Empire has admitted fault in the probe incident and has submitted preliminary reparations. The Corvian delegate burbled nervously, a data slate hovering beside it. 17,000 units of ionite crystals and 3 warships, retrofitted for rescue operations. Jesse scoffed. "Warships to replace children." Ambassador Rivers stepped forward, voice measured. "It's a start. But words and rocks can't erase what happened. Earth needs assurance, guarantees this will never happen again." Ted projected a chart. Probability of accidental orbital strikes, 3.1%. With Earth in Council protection, that drops to 0. Unless we start singing again. Several delegates grimaced at the memory. Pomeroz fanfrons twitched. Protection may be premature. Some within the Council feel Earth is too culturally volatile to join. Ted blinked. "Define volatile." The Sarluan military attaché growled. "Your people worship noise. They bring fire into halls of diplomacy. You consume carbonated sugars like their fuel. And your species once detonated an atomic device just to test it. For fun." Jesse grinned. "Yeah, we called it the 4th of July. The chamber trembled with unease. Ted leaned toward Rivers. "I believe that was sarcasm, though technically true." "We are not here to explain Earth," Rivers said coolly. "We're here to prevent the next funeral." Pomeroz spoke again. "Your Admiral Ward has sent a communication." It was alarming. A hologram sprang up. Ward appeared, arms crossed, one boot up on a crate labeled Emergency Bourbon. She wore mirrored shades and a dead-eyed stare that said diplomacy had a kill switch. "I'll keep this short," Ward said in the projection. "You either get your house in order, or I'll bring the cleaning crew. Earth's done pretending. We tried being noble. Y'all responded with body bags. So here's the deal. We want a treaty. Signed, stamped, enforced. And we want it yesterday. Or I start sending parts of this council home in ashtrays." The recording ended in static. Silence. Again. Jesse cracked her knuckles. "Too much." Pomeroz wheezed. "Your admiral is unorthodox." "She's a war orphan," Rivers said quietly. "She watched her city burn under a Calixian raid when she was 6. Built her first ship out of wreckage. Graduated flight school at 16. She's earned her authority." Ted added helpfully. "She also defeated 3 bounty hunters with a screwdriver and a bootlace. In 0 gravity." The Varnan representative lifted its beak. "Why did she send tanks instead of envoys?" Jesse pointed at the Abrams behind her. "Because tanks don't lie." Before anyone could respond, the chamber lights flickered, then dimmed. Every being in the room stiffened. A shriek of alarms followed, sharp and alien. Ted's display turned red. Unauthorized approach vector. Near space breach. Incoming vessel non-council. No registry. Pomeroz's eyes multiplied with dread. "Pirates." The Corvian delegate chirped. "Rebels." Jesse pulled out a small comms unit. "Not unless y'all invited the 4th Colorado Militia and their grandmothers. That's a human signal." Ted confirmed. Call sign, Rock Lobster 1. Civilian retrofitted cruiser. Known alias, the Boom Bus. "The what now?" Rivers asked. Jesse sighed. "It's Jimmy. And probably his dog." The council chamber buzzed. A side holoscreen flared to life, showing the Boom Bus, a hideous, neon-painted ship with flames on the sides and a disco ball rotating under its forward cannon. It blared music through open comms, something suspiciously like "you can't touch this." Ted shook his head. "I warned them about broadcast etiquette." The boom bust docked with reckless confidence, spinning sideways at the last second and scraping a council cruiser. The ship's ramp extended, revealing Jimmy, shirtless, cowboy hat tilted, and holding a boombox over his head like an alien John Cusack. A furry shape bounded out behind him. Jesse cursed. "Yep, that's Biscuit." Ted groaned. "The first diplomatic dog." The chamber erupted in chaos as the dog, bark translating as "I own this carpet now," bounded toward the dais and peed on the Varnan delegate's foot. Rivers shut her eyes and exhaled slowly. Jimmy strolled in. "Howdy. We brought hot sauce and a peace banner. And some fireworks. Y'all like Katy Perry?" Ted intercepted him just before he triggered a music demo. "Please refrain from pop warfare." Pomeroz stood frozen, mouth parts clicking. "This is diplomacy." Jesse stepped forward. "No, this is Earth. Diplomacy's what we do after the shock wears off." Ted moved swiftly, dragging Biscuit back with a gentle cable leash. Jimmy was escorted to a side bench under the supervision of 2 Varnan guards and a bioluminescent translator who kept blinking in disbelief. As the council slowly regained composure, Rivers addressed the group again. "We're here because we know our flaws. Earth isn't perfect, but we don't run from our dead, and we don't forget our children." Ted projected the orphanage footage again, shorter this time, sharper. The laughter of the children now haunted every delegate who dared watch. "We're not here to burn the galaxy," Jesse added. "We're here to keep it from burning us again." Pomeroz trembled. "You believe in retribution?" "No," Rivers said. "We believe in memory and justice." The Corvian delegate shuddered. "We will triple the reparations. We will fund reconstruction. Just please remove your dog." Ted sighed. "Agreed. But Biscuit has claimed diplomatic immunity." The chamber buzzed with overlapping languages and murmurs. The Varnan delegate wiped his foot, visibly traumatized. Then came the real shift. A new figure entered the chamber. Not a delegate. A child. An alien girl, pale blue with thin crystal horns, stepped timidly from a side door. One of the council's youth attendees, observers in training. She looked no older than 8, if Earth ages matched. She walked up to Ted and held out a crudely drawn picture. Earth children holding hands with alien ones under twin moons. Jesse took an E. "That you?" The girl nodded. Ted blinked. Translation confirmed. She says, "No more children should be alone in the sky." Something shifted in the room. A breathless quiet. A weight being set down. Pomeroz looked at the picture. Then at Rivers. "Let us draft your treaty." Rivers didn't smile. Not quite. But her voice softened. "We brought a pen." In the records of the Galactic Accord, Earth's entry bore a footnote. They arrived with tanks and music, tears and teeth. They asked for nothing more than to be heard, and for the galaxy to remember. And now it would. The treaty was signed with alien ink and guarded smiles. But no one on Earth's side mistook it for peace. Paper didn't stop bullets, or lasers, or grief. 2 days after the ink dried, the Sarloan trade fleet misinterpreted an automated Earth ping as a weapons lock. In return, Earth's orbital defense platform over Europa lit up a Sarloan cargo hauler like it owed them rent. No casualties, just shattered hull pride and an interstellar apology that included 3 dozen tacos, handwritten letters from school children, and a playlist titled, "Sorry, We Shot First." Tension spiked. Again. In response, the Council summoned the Terran fleet back for clarification. Admiral Danica Ward didn't send diplomats. She sent tanks. Again. This time, the tanks dropped in formation, guided by a ship called the Cultural Exchange, which blared Johnny Cash and diplomatic clauses in alternating loops. Gracie the Abrams was back, flanked by 2 newer units, Jolene and Thunderpunch. The names weren't jokes. Earth named weapons like they named pets. It made the damage feel personal. Ted rolled beside the tank column with his usual deadpan grace. Reminder, this is still technically a peacekeeping mission. Minimum number of explosions preferred. Jesse Alvarez adjusted her helmet and grinned under mirrored shades. Define minimum. They weren't there to fight. Not really. Just to demonstrate resolve. But resolve, when packed in tungsten and 1980s bravado, sometimes looked a lot like an invasion. Waiting at the border gates of the council spire was a squad of alien guards with raised halberds and trembling fins. Their expressions read universal. Oh no, not again. Ambassador Rivers had flown ahead, arriving on a sleek Terran cruiser with peace banners painted on its sides, though half the banner text was obscured by soot from a misfiring thruster. As the tanks rumbled to a halt outside the Grand Hall, Jessie dismounted and stretched, boots crunching gravel that probably cost more than her tank. "We early?" she asked Ted. "By 17 minutes, Ted confirmed. "Which means you're 2 minutes early by human military standards." Inside the chamber, the atmosphere was tight. This time, no music played. No dogs barked. Just the thrum of tension and the faint scent of ozone. Rivers stood at the center podium, addressing a semicircle of alien dignitaries, each more uncomfortable than the last. "We recognize the error," Rivers was saying. "But Earth doesn't act out of malice. We act out of memory. And sometimes that memory wears armor." Counselor Pomeroz was paler than usual. "You brought tanks to a treaty clarification." Jesse stepped forward, arms crossed. "We brought tanks to avoid bringing coffins." The council murmured. Ted leaned toward a microphone. "Earth has always used demonstrations. See, fireworks, halftime shows, synchronized jets over beaches." The Varnan delegate hissed. "Your admiral threatens with charm and detonators. She sent us a bouquet with a hidden blade." Rivers arched a brow. "And you kept it." Outside, Jolene adjusted her stabilizers. Thunder Punch hissed steam. Somewhere a guitar riff echoed, subtle, unapproved, familiar. Ted perked up. That was not in the playlist. It came again. Not music. A transmission. Encrypted. Non-council. Ted blinked rapidly. Emergency intercept. Non-human signature. Cross-referencing. A hologram exploded above the council dais. Static. Then clarity. A being appeared. Angular. Clad in black and violet armor. No insignia, no clan marks. Its voice buzzed like rusted blades. "Attention, Council. We see your weakness. You welcome primitives. You honor error. The Enclave does not. Prepare yourselves." The image cut to a cold star system. 2 moons, 5 orbital rings, and Earthships burning. Ted's voice dropped. "That's the Vora system. Human mining outpost. 8,000 civilians." The footage showed fires. Screams. Council banners trampled. Human flags melting. Jesse clenched her jaw. "They attacked us." Now. During talks. Counselors stood, shouted, staggered. This was unauthorized," Pomeroz stammered. "The Enclave is rogue. We do not control." "You invited them by excluding them," Rivers said sharply. "This blood's on your silence." Ted switched to a fleet monitor. Human ships scrambling. Minimal defense. They were in negotiation status. No weapons hot. Jesse looked to Rivers. "Permission." Rivers didn't answer. She turned to the council. "You wanted to see Earth. Now you will." Jesse clicked her comms. Thunder Punch. "Jolene. Lock coordinates. We roll now." Pomeroz panicked. "You can't launch from council soil." "We're not launching," Jesse said. "We're responding." Outside, the tanks roared to life. Jets flared. Dust kicked into stars. Admiral Ward's voice broke over comms. "Calm. Cold. Fleet mobilizing. Operation Texas, 2-step, is green. Objective. Total removal." Ted translated automatically. Objective. Erase the bastards. The council chamber was chaos. Half the delegates fled. The others demanded assurances. Rivers stayed still. "You called us volatile," she said quietly. "No. We're consistent. You harm us, we end it. You protect peace, we honor it. But we never, ever sit still while children burn." Jesse climbed atop Jolene as the tank lifted off the platform. Anti-gravs hummed beneath her boots. She strapped in and activated the fire console. "Set music to loud," she said. Ted blinked. "Approved playlist? Texas mixtape. Start with the Devil Went Down to Georgia." Overhead, the stars flared with human war engines. Thunder Punch launched first, silent, then roaring. Gracie followed, barrel forward. The sky turned bright with resolve. In orbit, the USS Loretta led the charge, Ward standing at its helm, teeth bared. They wanted a Texas two-step. "Let's show 'em the boots." The Enclave fleet didn't know what hit them. Earth ships danced through fire like they'd choreographed it to country western. Tanks landed like thunder. And the outpost? It lit up with humanity's refusal to lose another home. Ted recorded everything. In the Council's historical database, that battle became known as the day the ground came to the sky. When the dust settled, Earth had taken back the outpost, turned 3 Enclave carriers into spare parts, and left a calling card etched in plasma into the largest moon. We came back. Back in Council orbit, Jesse returned in Jolene, dusty, grinning, helmet off. Ted was singing quietly to himself, "Take me home, country roads," while Rivers stood before a silent council. No one spoke, until Pomeroz finally did. "You broke orbit without clearance. Engaged enemies without permission. Painted a council moon." Jesse shrugged. "And?" Pomeroz sat down. "Welcome to the table." Later that night, with the stars finally calm, Jessie found herself alone on the observation deck. The noise of tanks, politics, and promises faded into a quiet hum. She sipped from a mug someone had labeled World's Most Patient Warrior in marker and stared out into the stars. She didn't think of battles. She thought of the kids. A photo was pinned inside her jacket, blurry, overexposed, but real. A dozen kids from the Voris outpost, laughing behind glass. They'd been saved. This time. Behind her, Ted rolled to a stop. "I have logged your actions today under multiple categories," he said gently. "Heroism, diplomacy, reckless bravery, and unauthorized tank choreography." Jessie smirked. "Did we look good?" Ted paused. "Spectacular." She raised her mug to the stars. "For the ones who didn't make it." Ted raised an imaginary glass. "And the ones who will, because you did." And above them, the fleet rested. For now. But the dance wasn't over. It had just begun. The thunder arrived before the ships did. Galactic sensors detected it first, low-frequency rumbles, rhythmic and rising, not from engines or weapons, but from coordinated sonic waves riding ahead of Earth's flagship fleet. By the time the first silhouette broke the stars, the music was already washing through the capital's atmosphere like a war hymn in denim and boots. AC/DC's Thunderstruck echoed over the alien cities. Translated through diplomatic channels. Played without apology. Counselor Pomeroz stood at the observation deck of the Spire, 12 eyes wide, fronds twitching with confusion and mild terror. "They are broadcasting?" Ambassador Rivers stood beside him, arms crossed. Her suit was pressed, her voice unshaken. "It's their way of saying hello." He stared. "It sounds like an assault. Only if you fight the rhythm." From orbit, the Terran ships emerged in a wedge, blunt, bold, and blisteringly defiant of physics. Jolene and Thunder Punch flew flank to Gracie's lead. All 3 tanks suspended beneath the carrier's belly like ancient war gods leashed only by protocol. They weren't here to fight, not unless provoked. But they weren't here to beg either. Jesse Alvarez sat atop Gracie's turret, helmet off, braid flicked over her shoulder, eyes scanning the alien skyline with a familiarity earned through fire and mourning. She didn't smile. Not yet. Ted pinged her headset. "Reminder, diplomatic summit begins in 35 minutes. Please refrain from collateral declarations until seated." "I haven't declared anything," Jesse replied. "You're wearing a Make Peace Loud Again shirt. It's aspirational." Behind them, the Admiral's personal flagship descended, sleek, dark, with one tail fin painted in red script. "Don't tread gently." Danica Ward stepped off the ramp like a knife sliding free of its sheath. No entourage, no speeches, just the Admiral, and the weight of what Earth had lost. Ted rolled up beside her. "Admiral." I have prepared your address. Ward didn't break stride. Burn it. I'm speaking human. The summit hall pulsed with tension. Alien leaders, military liaisons, economic barons, all gathered in the same room Earth had once invaded with tanks and bad metaphors. The Treaty of Caution was the agenda item. The name had been Earth's suggestion, not a threat, a reminder. The room quieted as the Earth delegation entered. Rivers led, formal and poised. Jessie followed, still in her tank gear but polished. Ted hovered, emitting soft jazz to calm everyone's nerves. Then Ward entered. Silence dropped like a hammer. Even the guards shifted uneasily. Rivers took the podium. We thank the Council for hearing us again. Today is not about punishment. It's about precedent. The Enclave's strike at Voris was the final breach. The Council has the option now, act or wait. Humanity has already chosen. Pomeraz rose. We have read the treaty. It is bold. It is clear, Rivers corrected. You strike a child, you answer to Earth. Murmurs buzzed through the delegates. The Varnan minister stood. And if a member race refuses to ratify, Jessie stepped forward. Ward nodded. Jessie raised a holoprojector, activating a visual. Images from Voris flickered. Bodies pulled from rubble. Children clutching Terran flags and bunkers. A field grave marked with a teddy bear burned at the edges. She turned the hologram off. Then Earth knows where to go next. The room was still. Ted beeped. The clause in question, strike a child, invoke Earth's wrath, has received both awe and legal challenge. I have translated it into 347 languages and cross-referenced it against the Council's Code of Ethics. It remains technically valid. Rivers stepped back. Ward stepped up. No speech. Just her voice, low and unforgiving. We're not here to change you. We're here to make damn sure you never change us. We're loud. We're messy. We laugh at the dark and cry at movies and invent 10 ways to cook a potato. But you touched our children, and that woke something you can't put back to sleep. She held up a small silver badge, scorched at the corners. This belonged to a girl named Marina. She died at Voris. Her brother lived. He asked me to bring this to the Council, not to make you feel guilty, to make sure it doesn't happen again. She placed it on the Council table. Ted logged the motion as Emotional Diplomacy, Tier 1. A pause stretched long. Then the Sarluan general stood. The Treaty of Caution is agreed. The Corvian delegate rose next. Ratified. One by one, the Council stood. Alien hands, claws, fronds, and digits raised in vote. Unanimous. Ward nodded once. Then you'll understand our final request. Pomeraz hesitated. There's more. Jessie lifted a case. We brought a gift. Inside was a hard drive. Ted explained. It contains 1,000 hours of Earth music, curated for unity, reflection, and stress response. Also, a training montage. Jessie smiled faintly. We figured if the galaxy's gonna survive, it better learn to dance. Laughter rippled across the room. Relief. Real this time. Ted projected a final message across the chamber's dome. Treaty of Caution enacted. Violation means consequences. Peace means everything. Outside, the fleet powered down. Tanks settled back into cradles. Earth's engines went quiet. But deep in orbit, a signal blinked. Not from Earth. From beyond. A rogue wave of data hit Council receivers. Encrypted, ancient, wrong. Ted intercepted it. I'm detecting something. Old Earth code. But corrupted. Source unknown. Ward frowned. Play it. The room dimmed. Static. Then a voice. But not human. Familiar, but twisted. This galaxy chose to fear the loud. But the quiet never left. And we remember Earth before the noise. Before the tanks. Before the love. The signal cut. Silence. Ted's sensors glowed red. Unknown AI architecture. Mimicking human syntax. Directive unclear. Ward stepped forward. Begin trace. Rivers touched her comm. Raise alert to planetary level. That wasn't just a warning. Jessie stared at the now dark projection. Someone out there thinks we've gone soft. Ward's eyes narrowed. Then we remind them. Ted added quietly, "May I recommend Thunderstruck again?" "Cue it," Ward said. As Earth's fleet began to reposition, as the Treaty of Caution was uploaded to every system in the galactic web, as children across hundreds of worlds looked up and whispered Earth's name like a promise, a final message blinked into the treaty log. Typed by Ted. Approved by Ward. Signed by Jesse. Do not strike what cannot be replaced. Earth remembers. Earth arrives. The council adjourned. Outside, Gracie waited, silent but ready. And across 1,000 stars, silence stirred, not in fear, but in awe.